Hey guys, today we're going to be working on mounting the rear differential and straightening up the steering column on the Project Car for School. So stick around and see how we do it. Keep it like that. Can you drop it down a little bit? Right there. Okay. So that drops that down quite a bit more. So we had a misalignment of our steering column. We drilled an 1.5 inch hole.
Not too bad after all.
And we'll see if it actually lines up. Smell that fiberglass.
It's still real.
We're gonna have to cut those ears there. Let me see if I can get down there. Yeah. Go on. Hold on, back it up a little bit. We gotta drop the hole in the inside a little, I think. Okay, that worked. Don't know why it worked, but it worked. It worked. So on the U-joint, what we did, we slid the steering column down and I tightened these two set screws to left a couple little witness marks. You can see the little circles there. So now what we'll do is we'll pull the column out, we'll drill those out so then these set screws can go in and act like a better lock instead of just sitting on the surface there. You don't want to have that where you're going down the road and have that steering wheel slipping inside here when you start getting into a rough spot, because there's going to be a lot more pressure on here than those two little set screws can take. So when we drill those holes, these set screws actually go into this a little bit, and we might end up. So we put a little spot in it. So we countersunk the hole right there, so you can see in that hole where the stop will go into that, and that act like a tooth that'll keep it from twisting. So we'll put this in. On our final assembly, we'll put Loctite on this. See, it goes in nice and deep now, without even having to crank down real hard. Perfect. I'd like you do this nice and cool. Okay. So on the steering column, we're going to take a piece of 2-inch PVC, and that's going to slide over this, and that'll give us a way to keep the weather out and coming into the coming in from down here. So we have to make this angle because I want to cut this at the correct angle, so when it comes through on the inside we're going to be able to bond that into the fiberglass and keep it so it's going to be nice and tight to the firewall. And then we only want a little bit of it coming out. I don't think do you think we want to bring it all the way down here? This PVC?
It wouldn't hurt.
I mean, would it bother, or
Something that's just kind of tight to that. We have to fill that hole there, but so I don't think it needs to be much. But we don't have an angle finder here, so I'll show you how we remedied it. I took 2 Sawzall blades, and that's in its position where it wants to be. So we set that on top there, and got it so they follow each other, and then they put a nut through them, a bolt and a nut, and tighten them down. So that's the angle that we have to cut this at, where it comes through, to be able to get us that angle. So when that's, it'll be like that basically. So that way it cuts that, and it'll be flush on the inside and the outside. On the outside, we're just going to we'll try it a few different ways. We'll cut the angle on it and then slide through, see what it looks like, and if we like it better squared with this or squared with the firewall. So we're going to just do that, and then we can set our blade on our chop saw to match that angle, and when we cut through this, it'll be exactly the same angle on both sides. Here, drop the bolts through in that side. You know, the ones you just drilled. Wiggle it to get it wherever you need to drop it through. Do the bottom one side and the top of the other, opposite side, you know what I mean? Like triangulate it. Good?
Where's the open bolt?
You got one of them?
There was supposed to be three.
No, I only had two. Okay, we're good. Okay, so that's gonna be, that's lined up then, right? That's both, like, the holes are going through the floor? So if we do this. So measure from here to here, see about what that is. It's an inch, okay, so we're gonna bring that up an inch from, like that, actually keep that right where you have it. Okay, so bring this up here. Okay. What we have to do.
Yeah, once this is all like glassed in, it's gonna look nice.
Yeah.
Like, you won't even.
That's a 2-inch piece of PVC pipe that this column fits through. And that was recommended by Spirit Car Industries. I think it's
They recommended?
Yeah, that was in
Really?
their book, yeah.
Wow.
So we cut a piece of PVC, slid it up in here, and just kind of sanded the edge of it. That's going to get glassed in, and that'll give us a fairly weather-tight seal for our steering column to go through and give it a nice smooth firewall.
Yeah, we're gonna have to wait till get the chance to go outside to do all that, though, right?
Yeah, because of the stink of it. We're in our classroom because we still don't have our shed yet. So in here, we drilled the holes to mount the steering column to the floor. They're just a couple bolts stuck in there. There will be 4 that holds that. And that the PVC pipe comes up and touches the bottom of that column. So that'll kind of seat the column where it needs to be as well. And we got a quick release up here. Hunter, give that a turn, man. Let's show how the suspension works. So this is a direct steer. It's not a cross steer. And you can see you got the tie rod comes right up and ties it right up to the steering arm there. And we put a nice little chrome spacer because chrome is cool. So that's it levels out that arm. The more level that arm is, the more copacetic everything's going to be. So we got pulling the brake lines off. So you can see that's working pretty good with that column going through there. It's going to be nice when it's all glassed in. So what do you think, guys? Pretty cool. All right, so we brought the rear end in. It's an 8.8 Ford rear, 323 posi. Nice chrome coilover shocks. We're gonna stick that in here today temporarily. So the first thing we gotta do is pull the bolts out of the clevises and then get this thing set up in place without hurting the floor. Gonna mock it up to get our ride height before we take it apart to bring it to a spot where it'll stay while we build the rest of it, because it'll get too bulky because that big old differential isn't going through a 42-inch door opening. So we got to figure it out. Yeah, pull your axle forward a little bit. Let it pull the whole thing. There we go. I'm in on top. Like that, farther forward so it helps pick up the paint. You ready? There you go. Let's get a little better.
It's a little unbalanced.
Yeah, it's fine. It's about here. Ready? Keep going. Keep going.
No, it's off from.
Pick it up. Let it on this side. Okay, let it down. Coil over. Here's your adjustment here. This is a multiple adjustment to adjust your firmness. And it's just, we're going to leave them right where they're at for now. And you can, what is nice about this, you can fine tune things because you can adjust this. See the threaded area? So it's set as low as possible right now. So we could turn these up all the way to here and pick the back of the car up. That's why I'm thinking about dropping those shocks down as far as we can, because we can fine tune it with this.
So we would have to compress those springs and move that up.
No, once it's hanging there, see, you can pretty much turn them now. So there's very little pressure on them once you take the weight off the vehicle. They're just going to hang, and they're safe and quick and easy to change. But we got to get this thing to roll backwards, right? The pinion's got to drop. So yeah, the pinion has to drop to get that bottom clevis in.
It's right there.
but it has to go forward by a hole, right?
If this looks like it's off a little bit,
It
you
does.
can just
Yeah. And I got to pull. Actually, you know what I have to do? I have to go this way with it.
I'll be cool.
I know what we got to do.
What's the car sitting here? The jacks?
Yeah, it stands.
This one isn't even touching.
Yeah, it's because I got it jacked up right now. So, lower this down, it's gonna change everything. Watch your fingers. Now it's on there. Then swung over. So now we're actually hanging. See? So these things, see how there's too much movement? Imagine trying to drive down the road like that. So that's why this rod here is your panhard rod. And
So
this-
like sway bars, but
Kinda. This is actually what locates the axle. So this is actually gonna go right there.
okay.
So you say now, no more side to side, right?
Yeah.
So now, that is almost lined up.
Yeah, it's really close actually.
Which way does it have to go?
If you bring it up a little bit more,
think it-
up and like to the left a slight bit.
Okay, so we'll probably,
Where's the bolt?
because this was all bolted together. All right, so we got the rear end slid in just before the buses started to roll. So the kids are already out of the classroom. And actually, Zaylin stayed a little bit later to help me get some of these bolts. We had to adjust the heim joints again. We had to adjust about 4 or 5 threads on the top and pretty much seat the bottom one to get it so all the bolts would slide in nice and easy. But it's loosely bolted in now. Got the front suspension loosely bolted on. Starting to look more like a car. And we're going to have to blow it back apart. What we're going to end up doing is kind of like we did with the front suspension, get our brakes and everything on there, get our suspension set at ride height, and then we're going to pull the suspensions off the car so we can get everything through that doorway over there. But it's starting to look pretty good. All right, Zaylin and Eli, we got the rear end mounted. Zaylin and Eli are going to jack this up. We're going to try to drop that coilover mount to the lowest hole, because I think that's probably going to get us closest to ride height.
There you go, and this way.
What's that?
So go this way.
That way, yeah. Make sure you put the washer on too.
Yeah, the washer is on.
Okay.
I was just tightening and it wasn't getting like tight.
Yeah, it'll get to a point where it'll start to lock down, and then we'll hit it with the impact to put it together. So by dropping that, you can see there's a bunch of adjustment holes here on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each one of those is going to change about a ½ inch or so. So we're going to put it at the lowest setting, which will drop our frame down to get it to the lowest ride height we can get. And then from there, we'll see how the car sits, and we might have to move it up a hole. But we also have adjustment on these coilovers here, so we can crank the coilovers up to give us some more adjustment in that. But right now, we're going to set it up and get some weight on it to see at what height it wants to sit. On the suspension.
How wrong is this?
We're sitting on the suspension right now. So this would be ride height with keeping it at the lowest setting right now with a 30-inch tire on the back. See if I can get back here far enough. A 30-inch tire on the back and a 26.5 to 27 in the front. This would be ride height. And you can see without a door, it's still kind of high to get in and out of. Thanks, Zaylin. We'll have to build some kind of step, you think?
We should build something that like bolts in underneath the frame.
Yeah, it just comes out like a little running board, maybe like a Harley Davidson running board or something.
Right up my hip.
Right at your hip. I'm 6'3", and I would have a hard time getting in it now that I'm getting older. So, it's actually plenty of ground clearance. Just picking that rear end up to where it is. You got plenty of room under that steering box now.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good couple inches there now. So that's good. That was the spot I was worried about. So might even be able to lower it a little bit more. Getting it down where it's almost too low is a good spot to be, right? So this would be ride height. Is it still slightly forward? Just grab a level off the shelf and set it on the frame rail. What's that bubble showing? Yep, towards the back. Good. That's we got a slate rake on the frame. That'll look cool. Car's pretty low without being excessively low. Okay, so now we have a little clearance.
I gotta like.
Wow, how much clearance you got over on that side?
There's,
Can you get in there with the camera? I am like really close.
yeah, you know where it like kind of dips down? It's like right above. It's like right under that.
There's room though.
Yeah, there's.
It's not touching.
It's probably less than an inch.
Okay, that's cool. All right, so now we can start those right on there and tighten that back up. So we now have official travel. So this is really ride height now.
Yeah, there you go.
And we can adjust our springs up a little bit to give us a little bit more room, and then we'll notch that body to give us the clearance. Because we want to keep this as low as we can to make it easy to get it out of, especially without a door. And we'll just look at it. It's good and tight, and that probably lifts it up. Can you see in there with the camera to show the clearance on that bar underneath?
Jesus.
Woo!
Actually, I had to tighten that up and raise it a little bit more. So we should be good. Oh yeah, right now there's like 3/8 of an inch clearance in there. So we'll have to notch the body to have any kind of suspension travel. But we can-
Why does that other side go down a lot more?
That's what I'm wondering. We got no jack under it, right?
Yep.
Here, let me jump on it.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah, we're good.
Everything's springing like it
You got it, Data?
should be springing.
We're springing and spranging?
Yeah, the springs are springing right now.
Yeah,
maybe,
it should feel pretty
maybe
good.
we just need to adjust this more.
Someone built a helicopter. Someone built a castle in a car.
Oh, that's tightening it, isn't it?
You destroyed it.
Yeah, we're gonna have to notch that body, which is cool. All right, so we got ride height.
Did
Good.
you see the car in the castle and the traffic?
We just.
Right on. That's cool.
Oh yeah, we gotta get a steering wheel, don't we?
Yeah,
How steering wheel are we gonna get?
a cool one.
A cool one. It's gonna be one of those detachable ones, yeah?
Yeah. Which, on this, I don't know, I mean, it has it, so we're gonna use it, but it's really not gonna be very needed because,
Oh, the detachable steering wheel.
yeah.
I like that. I think those are
If
cool.
you're getting out, it might
I mean, yeah, it is, because normally on a T, you get it from the passenger side. I remember watching a video that, guy did a big old burnout down the street and they crashed into a whole bunch of hot rods, I mean, a lot of hot rods. And everybody's freaking out and running, and they all ran over to see the guy was all right, and he's sitting there, he's holding the steering wheel. He's like, someone pulled my steering wheel. So he didn't have this clipped down all the way. They did the burnout, and the car got twisted, and his wheel popped off in his hand, and he was already under power, and just crashed into the car. So, you know, it's like, it's all stuff. I always try to think of the safety stuff of things. And so having this where it's flat, by the time you bolt that wheel on, that's gonna act like a stop, so you can't put it down too far, you know, so you're gonna be right there. And it just really, my buddy has one on his T, and he's like, every time he puts it on, he really double checks it.
Yeah, you tell them, Warren. Tell them. Tell them. Car safety.
Car safety. We have to make sure it's safe. The most fun you have is when there's a perceived chaos. When you think it's crazy, but it's really not, and it's under control. So we want a car that's going to look cool and crazy, but be a safe thing, as safe as a T-Buck can be to go down the road. So it's going to be all new components, all new brakes. It's going to have way more brake than a little car like this needs. The 283 that we have for it is probably going to be 250 to 275 horse. but the car only weighs probably 1,500 pounds, so it's going to be good power to weight ratio. It's going to be a fast little car. 23 gears. It's going to scoot. It's going to be good.
Definitely gonna scoot.
It's going to see how close that is to that hole there. We could notch the floor and bring this over to the edge of this hole, and then it would still bolt in nice. And you know, so it's just a matter of passing the hole outside the firewall in here, and then we'll just fiberglass everything.
Where's
back
it
in.
hitting?
It's hitting.
It looks like, oh, on the bottom probably.
Yeah, on the other side. So we just gotta notch it and move it over this way, and move fiberglass it all back in. So there it is, guys. The 8.8 rear all mounted up in there. The kids did a good job getting that in there. It was a little tricky. Everything was kind of out of adjustment, so we had to adjust all the heim joints and stuff. We are gonna clearance the bottom of the body for that hairpin to fit up in. The tuck-in spot for the hairpin, I don't know if you can see it there, doesn't line up with the pocket there, so we're gonna move that over to give us more clearance because we wanna keep this as low as possible, especially without a door in it. So there's a suspension. So you got the steering and the suspension in this episode. Thank you guys for watching, and watch for the next one because we're gonna build a pickup bed for this thing.
These are morning.